With Bachmann's mid-year releases being announced a few days ago, I think it's time to say my Bachmann wish list. Starting with the HO range, I think it would be a smart decision to make Nia, as she's been in the show for 6 years, and her not going anywhere with all engines go. I think it's time for a Bachmann Nia to happen. Secondly, with Sydney just being announced, I feel like Bachmann needs more diesels in their range. As we only have Diesel, Paxton, Daisy, and Mavis with Salty on the way, I think Bachmann should really consider making Den and Dart. With them being in the show more frequently in Season 19, I think it would be smart to make. Also, with Hornby Dart going for well over 500 pounds. Last on the HO range, I think a Bachmann Hero is well overdue, as this year marks 15 years since Hero of the Rails coming out in 2009, and being in all engines go, I think it's about time Bachmann introduces Hero into their line. On to N-Scale. With N-Scale Henry just being announced, I think the most probable next release would be Edward, even with Edward and Henry being more of side characters now in the show. With Henry being announced, I think it's pretty predictable that Edward will be announced soon. Next, I think N-Scale Duck, Donald, Douglas, and Oliver could be released. I've put them all in the same section as they all have the same reasons. Firstly, they would all be next in the after Toby in the show, so it makes sense to have them. Secondly, for some of the older fans who but Bachmann Thomas range, having these 4 would just complete collections. So many fans would but them. Lastly, for the N-Scale range, some of the shunting engines like Rosie and Stanley. With Rosie being fan favorites, it would make sense to produce her. Same with Stanley, he's been in the show for a while now, and with his HO version almost in completion, it would make sense for him to be in N-Scale as well. Bachmann could also use N-Scale's Thomas chassis for him, like they have for the HO version. Onto the narrow gauge range, Sir Handel and Duncan being produced already. There aren't many narrow gauge engines left to make, but 2 of them that I would love to see are Millie and Luke. There aren't many toys of Millie out there, the main one being Take and Play, so it would be nice to see her in HO30 form. And Luke, although he's being in pretty much every toy line, it would still be nice to see a HO30 version of him. Lastly, with the 80th anniversary next year, I think it would be smart to make a Duke for the anniversary, whether it be a limited edition item or made like the rest. It would be nice to see him either way. Lastly, on to large scale now. We didn't get anything of large scale this year, but it would be nice to have a large scale Edward. Edward would be an easy enough model to produce, as it could just be a modified version of James' model with a new face. Secondly, a large-scale Sydney, Airy, and Bert would be easy to do, as we just use a large-scale Diesel or Paxton model repainted and new faces, which I'm surprised Bachmann haven't already done, as it's 3 new models. Lastly, for large-scale, I think a large-scale Mavis is needed, as she wouldn't be too hard to do, as she could use Bachmann already existing Toby chassis and modify it with a new face. Now, Bachmann doesn't make anything in this scale as of 2024 but AZ scale Rex, Mike, and Bert. Now it would be quite difficult to make something in a complete new scale, but I think AZ scale version of them 3 would be a very nice addition to their Thomas line. Thanks for watching. If you agreed or disagreed, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.